Hi everybody, this is Alchemist 2, and I'm back again with another book review. I just finished book 2 of the Mortal Instruments saga, which is called City of Ashes. And in this particular chapter of the saga, Jace shoots his mouth off to the Imogen, or the Inquisitor. And it gets him into a heck of a lot of trouble. He lands himself into jail in Idris, and of course we still have Valentine, who has the Mortal Cup at this point in time, and then we have what is it? The name of the sword is Metal Lark, or Malark, or something like that. It's this odd, strange name, and they call it the Soul Sword. And when they started saying that, I thought Soul Calibur, just because of my background in video games, and I couldn't quite get that image out of my head, and I'm very sorry for that. That's just my geekiness showing up. But maybe I can find the name of the sword itself, but I don't even know what it's like. Might take me a while. It's actually somewhere in here. It has a very odd spelling. I just can't think of it. Valentine gets a hold of that, and that's extremely important in the in the synopsis of the tale itself. And different objects have different names, as you learn within the series itself. But I like this book even better than the first one, because we're introduced to some... I'm not going to be able to find it, sorry, but we're introduced to some new characters, like Maia, and her story is very, very sad from the moment that we meet her. It's very tragic, and you just feel so sorry for her. And Simon goes through quite the transformation, and I won't say what it is, but it's very hard for Clary to witness it, let alone go through it. And there's quite the love parallelogram occurring here. You've got Maia and Simon. Well, they're from opposing teams, so of course they're not going to get along. Well, she already hates his guts, and at first Simon doesn't understand why, but that's just a tiny spoiler alert. Simon has feelings toward Clary. We learned that in the first book. It's in and of itself, so really this isn't too terribly much of a spoiler if you've been reading the series up to this point. And you think, well, why can't they just be together? They would be perfect for each other. Plus, I'm not exactly for Jace and Clary being together, because they are brother and sister, and that's... This reminds me too much of Star Wars, but if you're into that kind of thing, well, you know, I don't hold it against you, and I guess love comes in all shapes and forms, doesn't it? Then you've got the whole situation with Jocelyn and Mayrus and her involvement, and the Lightwood's involvement, and yeah, this one becomes very increasingly complex and complicated and convoluted, and it's extremely intriguing. And I like this idea of Ifrits. Ifrits are, they actually were introduced to Ifrits in the very first book, but we don't really get to know that much about Ifrits until later. Ifrits are just warlocks that can't use magical powers. That must be so awkward for them. They just show up at the swap meet and, you know, exchange their books and get new scarves or new robes or wands or whatever. You got an Ifrit that comes into the room. Oh, it's Greg. Greg doesn't know how to use magic. Let's all point at him and laugh. Ha ha ha! Greg's a loser! But, you know, that's probably not very comfortable for them to actually go to any meetings of that sort, knowing that they don't really have any power to do anything. Let's see, must be so terrible being on the outside looking in. I would just feel so left out if I were an Ifrit. And then we're introduced to the Sealies, and you have Kelpies and fairies, and let's see, banshees, nixies, pixies, pukas. You got this whole world of mythological creatures that are introduced, and the Seelie court is very intricately done, and the queen, they have to inquire or have parley with the queen of the Seelie court, and of course mundanes cannot enter. It's only for the shadow hunter and those with the sight, or those who are downworlders or underworlders. And it's so unusual because you've got the shadow hunters, and you've got vampires, you've got werewolves, and none of them get along at all. They're just warring against each other, and they loathe each other. They just abhor each other's guts. The reason being is because they've been fighting for eons, since the first werewolf was ever created, and since the first vampire was ever created. They've been in contention forever. And it's very, very tragic, but it's just the way of this, the world of the unseen, as they call it, or just the world beyond the veil, as I would say. It's very, very interesting, and I really enjoy it. And I'm just completely transfixed with it, and I'm looking forward to reading City of Glass, which is the next book, and City of Fallen Angels is the fourth, and the fifth is City of Lost Souls. I don't know if they're going to be making any of the other books into film, but we already know that the City of Bones is going to be a movie in August, and I'm really, really eager to see it. I saw a trailer for it, and it looks really kick butt. So I'm hoping that they do a good job with it. Just like I saw with the next Percy Jackson film. The first one I enjoyed, but there were some lack of continuity with the book and the movie, because Annabeth wasn't really that much of a fixture. She was really important in the book, but all of us know that, and I'm not going to go into that right now, but I really have loved those series and all the mythology involved with that, and this deals with more of the paranormal and the whole idea of Raziel's cup and the Nephilim, and how the blood of mortals and the blood of angels, well, basically if you go back to the book of Genesis, and I know my Bible well, but in the book of Genesis, before the deluge took place, you have the sons of God, or angels, falling in love with the children of men, or the daughters of men, and they had intercourse, and the result were the Nephilim. And of course the Nephilim are the shadow hunters in this case, in this book, and I thought, whoa, we're getting into some pretty esoteric stuff here that not a lot of people know about, and I thought, oh, I like this stuff. This is really good. They're different. The Nephilim are very different in of themselves, because they have runes that they're given, and they're protective, and they have healing abilities and all that jazz, but it's just so interlayered and just mystical that you just can't help but fall under its spell, and it's just enchanting and just exhilarating to read, and you keep wondering, well, what's going to happen next? What's Valentine got up his sleeve? And I just love to hate Valentine. I absolutely adore Jace. I still love Jace. Jace is probably my favorite character of the whole series, and it's just because he's so iconoclastic, and he's a rebel, and he doesn't really give two craps about anybody, and he just, he follows the beat of his own drummer, and he he told off the Imogen, for heaven's sake, and it got him into a lot of trouble. But I think he's just to shake things up in this rule and regulatory realm in which he exists, and so many things have been happening in that uh, in the world of Idris for eons that they didn't really uh, bend those rules per se to they always wanted to protect the mundanes from whatever demons were out there. This one was actually very intriguing because we're introduced to a classification of demons. So you think, yeah, this is makes sense. It's kind of like with angels, you've got a phylum. For instance, and this is actually true, but angels are classified as this. You've got cherubim, um, thrones, principalities, powers, archangels, seraphs, um, and I think, did I say cherubim? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think that's about it. But there could be more. But Raziel is mentioned here. Raziel is an actual angel. You got Raphael, Raziel, Ariel, Uriel, Michael, Gabriel, um, Metadon. Oh, I forget all the names, but if you're more into your Catholic theology, they know their archangels and all of the different phylum quite well because it's part of what they learn when they're going through school. I'm just a Protestant. I just like reading the stuff. That angels have always fascinated me, and especially the Nephilim. Is the Nephilim, you get into some really outer space kind of extraterrestrial panspermia ideas that a lot of people think, oh, you're one of those people. You're really cool. You're out there. You're just you're an odd ball. You're nuttier than squirrel poop, and yeah, people just look at you like that, and that's why I don't really like talking about things that much. But yeah, I like the idea of the Nephilim, and I know that they exist, and we have proof that there are giant bones in the ground, and yeah, there have been giants that have been found, and science cannot deny this. I mean, as much as they would like to try, science can't deny it. I mean, the evidence is right there. If you go to caves here, there, and everywhere, you're going to find those giant bones. So, and yeah, giants still exist, but you know, they're not so big as they used to be, and people have giantism, and it kind of makes you wonder. So, something to ponder, definitely. And this is the book that'll make you do that, for sure. So, I definitely recommend it because it's just one of those books that gives you a lot of food for thought.